I've always been a huge fan of 3D action platformers. Ratchet Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, I love them all. What can I say? I'm a PS2 junkie. Unfortunately though, with the way the modern gaming scene has evolved, these franchises have suffered a disappointing death. Sure, once in a blue moon we'll get a new Ratchet Clank game, filling Sony's quota for the decade, but no one else dares touch that genre with something new and exciting. Until now, that is, because we have Akimbot, a 3D action-adventure platformer developed by Evil Raptor and published by Pleon a few months ago, featuring an angry robot blowing up everything with oversized weapons. At first, I was skeptical and thought it'd be just another shameless cash grab, banking on millennial nostalgia, while that generation is still alive. But I decided to play the game for myself and oh man, my satisfaction was measurable and my day was saved. And that's because Akimbot is an amazing game with great graphics and addictive gameplay that undoubtedly demands your attention. Yes, compared to its big-budget contemporaries, it feels overly simplistic and clunky. But in a sea of endless cinematic experiences, mediocre Souls-likes, and annoying propaganda thinly disguised as video games, Akimbot stands out as just a good fucking game, plain and simple. But I've yapped on for long enough. Let's grab our massive laser cannon, equip our jetpack, and dive deeper into what makes Akimbot such a refreshing experience.
Call me Shipset. What's your ID?
Lexi.
Just follow my plan and we're home free! 3, 2, 1, go!
Evilware fled to a planet. He's been building his awful army and plotting to acquire the artifact.
Bad guy's hiding in a volcano! Oh, why can't it ever be a regular beach?
Enough talk. Let's do business. We'll see if your precious idol's as strong as a real weapon.
You're in for it now, Featherface!
Ship set Evilware's on the warpath!
I'm sure you're just dying to know why our heroes are shooting and blowing stuff up across the galaxy. Well, don't worry, Akimbot has a story and characters and all that stuff. The adventure begins with two robots, Exi and Sipset, captured by the Mafia. Exi is a former mercenary and master hacker, proficient with everything that involves infiltration and destruction. The algorithm, this game's version of a totalitarian government, has put a bounty on his head for his crimes. He's always super serious and doesn't take shit from anyone. He's kinda like Shadow the Hedgehog but with even more angst and edge. Sipset on the other hand was designed to be a systems manager for database central bank, but got apprehended for orchestrating a massive botcoin scam. As for his character, he's like Claptrap, but even more annoying. Yeah, both characters are pretty bad in my opinion. Exi is way too dismissive and serious to be a relatable hero, and Sipset tries way too hard to be funny, which just ends up being cringy. The duo barely has any chemistry, and combined with the fact that they never, ever stop talking, it makes the experience that much more grating. Anyway, our heroes escape and manage to defeat the big bad mafia boss, but of course there's a bigger fish to fry. The big governor of the algorithm, named the Ambassador, wants Exi to stop the mad scientist called Evilware from retrieving the artifact, a legendary item that unlocks the secrets of time travel. Man, it must have been a rough day at the office when they decided to name all these characters. In any case, Exi and Sipset accept the offer and the hunt for Evilware is on. But it's not that simple. There are plenty of time-traveling shenanigans and dream sequences preventing the story from being completely unoriginal. Don't get me wrong, it's not compelling stuff by any means, and I wasn't expecting much either. But the plot is serviceable and makes the transition between each level and gameplay mechanic interesting and exciting. The real problem here is the characters. They are extremely obnoxious and one-dimensional. Their banter is constant and aggravating, and I really wish the game would slow down and stop spouting exposition and unfunny attempts at humor at all times. But even though it's an indie game, at the end of the day, it's still a modern game. If even Ratchet Clank couldn't escape the Marvel dialogue virus, Akimbot had no chance as well. Just play on mute and you'll be fine. Since Akimbot is an Unreal Engine game, I was expecting two things. Stunning graphics but awful performance. Indeed, the graphics are awesome, but the performance pleasantly surprised me. The environments are varied, detailed, and full of color. Even the darkest caves are vibrant and exciting to explore, while more residential areas are full of friendly NPCs you can mindlessly murder, and tons of little props that make them that much more lived in. Sure, the over-reliance on floating platforms and tight corridors can make the areas more video gamey than expected, but this is something I feel every platformer struggles with. What I enjoyed the most about Akimbot's graphics was the art style. The characters, the vehicles, and even some of the background decorations are created in a unique way that remind me a bit of voxel graphics. They are very angular and boxy, while still maintaining a high level of detail and graphical fidelity. It's not groundbreaking stuff, but the beautiful landscapes made me truly appreciate the game's world, even though the enemies felt a bit too tiny for my taste. Now let's talk about the music. Akimbot certainly has it. Yeah, if you were expecting Ratchet & Clank levels of compositional genius, you'd just be unfair at the game. The tracks aren't bad per se, it's just your typical dubstep-like sci-fi music. Perfectly serviceable for the action, but completely unmemorable as well. But don't worry, you won't get to hear it that much anyway, since it will be drowned out by constant gunfire, explosions, and our characters yapping on and on about shit that doesn't even matter. And it's a shame too, because the voice acting is good, but the voices and the jokes are so infuriating, but they ruin the game's soundscape.
Booyah! What did I tell ya? Good thing I'm smart enough to think for both of us. So, are you gonna tell me your name now? Or can I just call you Captain Sunshine?
Lexi.
Jeez, that's uninspiring. Sorry I asked.
It's so annoying because Akimbot looks great and performs pretty damn well too. Even though my laptop is below the minimum requirements, I still manage to keep a steady frame rate most of the time, with some minor tweaks. However, the unremarkable music and the irritating voice acting brought down the experience and prevented me from being fully captivated by the game's atmosphere. What impressed me the most about Akimbot was how easy it was to just pick up and play. The moment I started the adventure, the controls were intuitive and the movement felt natural and smooth. It's a platformer after all. If the devs didn't nail the movement, the game would be in big trouble. Thankfully, XE has all the classic platforming moves and they all feel good to pull off. We can double jump, air dash, run across walls, and grapple hook too. The wall running and the grappling are automatic though, which cheapens the experience a bit, but the combination of double jumping and air dashing brings a unique dynamic to our movement, making both the platforming and the combat that much more interesting. It looks and feels cool to jump and dash around like a speedrunner, and the game enforces it too, with platforms too far apart for a regular double jump and segments where you have to be quick to avoid taking massive damage. Unfortunately, that's pretty much all there is to the platforming. You dodge various traps, jump across floating platforms, and dash through big areas of damage throughout most of the adventure. To be honest, the Ratchet & Clank series never had super complex platforming either, but although fun, the platforming in Akimbot can feel repetitive and lacking any sort of meaningful variety. But this is also a third-person shooter, so the gunplay is a big part of the action too. We have all the classic weapons you'd expect from such a game. An assault rifle, a sniper, a rocket launcher, and more spicy picks like a laser cannon and dual pistols. The game is called Akimbot after all. We wouldn't want to let that expertly crafted pun go to waste, right? In any case, the first thing you'll notice is how run-of-the-mill and plain our arsenal is. It's disappointing for sure, especially compared to the PS2 titans of old, which all had insanely unique, powerful and entertaining weapons. Still, Akimbot's guns pack a punch and feel good to destroy your enemies with, and I liked the overheating mechanic for your standard weapons, as well as obtaining energy from fallen bots to power up your stronger guns. It added some extra complexity into the combat, forcing you to utilize all your guns and even your melee attacks. You can also deflect bullets with your sword, which is always a welcome addition for all you MGR fans out there. Now, if you really wanna get technical, the aiming can be finicky. I played with a controller, and the aiming speed combined with the small dead zones can make shooting enemies miserable. At least auto-aim helps make the experience a bit smoother, and you can upgrade your weapons to make them stronger and more useful. Not that it matters that much, since when I got the sniper rifle, it overshadowed every other weapon and mechanic previously mentioned. Sure, you need the other guns for specific cases, but the sniper is way overpowered. Even so, I still enjoyed the shooting despite its unrefined state. But of course, it wouldn't be a true old-school platformer without a bunch of sections with completely different mechanics than the main game. Hope you like hacking minigames, because this game has them in spades. They're nothing special, they're just glorified quick-time events with a bunch of different variations. They got monotonous really quick, to the point where I just wanted to skip them and move on to the real action. But that's not all, because you have the obligatory vehicle segments. I could never understand why every 3D platformer feels the need to cram these pointless sections in the main gameplay loop, destroying the pace completely just for the sake of variety. But here we are. Turret sections that drag on for way too long? Check. Spaceship sections ripped straight from Tools of Destruction? Check. Driving buggies and mechanical dinosaurs while blasting robots and obstacles out of your way? Yep, everything is here. They're not bad. It can be simple mindless fun shooting the crap out of everyone and enjoying the spectacle of it all, but they offer nothing unique or substantial. They are as shallow as they can be. And don't get me started on the chipset sections. A 2D fighter? A Temple Run clone? They feel so random and forced. I have no idea why they even exist. I understand that a game needs variety to avoid being repetitive, but this is just pointless filler. Other than that though, the overall experience is pretty damn good. The controls feel fluid, the shooting is serviceable, and there's just enough variety to keep you invested. Sure, most of the game's elements are shallow and unrefined, but even so, they still manage to offer a good time. Despite its issues, Akimbot is a delight to play through and through. The graphics are beautiful, the presentation is polished, and it's well optimized, given today's abysmally low standards. The gameplay is equally cool, with intuitive controls, smooth and engaging action, and addictive gunplay that will keep you on edge at all times. It's the perfect blend of challenging platforming and high-octane shooting. Sure, it's not perfect, no game truly is anyway. The story is generic, the voice acting is grating, the platforming can be bare bones at times, and the minigames are repetitive and overstay their welcome really quickly. But for an indie game, the pros outweigh the cons. At the end of the day, it's just plain good old-fashioned fun. Remember when video games were just that and nothing else? If you go in with an open mind, I'm sure you'll enjoy it as well. Unfortunately though, I feel like the game's biggest sin is its timing. Even though it has received many positive reviews and a warm reception from the community, it's a game that doesn't belong in today's landscape. Nowadays, most people want open worlds, Souls-likes, and interactive experiences that feel more like visual novels than something more involved. Not that there is anything wrong with all these genres, it's just that gaming has become oversaturated, leaving little to no room for different kinds of genres to break into the mainstream. But who knows, maybe Akimbot will be the exception to the rule. Hopefully it receives the attention it deserves and brings forth a new age of 3D action-adventure platformers with a tiny bit of that classic millennial edge. Wishful thinking, I know, but a boy can dream. Anyway, that's all I had to say about Akimbot. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stuff. You know how it goes. You can also support me on Patreon or become a channel member for early access to my videos and other perks. Have a great day, and until next time, take care and have fun.